Hello everyone and welcome to day 4 of our HP Quickstart class. This is the day that we've been building up to, and it's great to be here to get into working with customers, sales orders, invoicing, and quotes. My name is Red Scott and I'm with hpCommerce Software. Let's talk about editing a customer. For an existing customer, you can pull them up and then edit the information by pressing F1. In this case, we want to add an additional fax number. You can edit any of the other information on the screen, and we're going to talk about each of these fields now that are on the screen. We have basic address information. We have spots for lots of phone numbers. Email address, this is the primary email address, and you can create alternate email addresses as needed. And then we get into some power tools that you can use that we touched on lightly in day 1, where you can start to define the customer a little bit. You can assign them to a class and subclass by setting up classes and subclasses in System Setup. You can also indicate a source. Where did this customer come from? How did they get to us? This is good for following up on different advertising sources you may use. You can indicate whether the customer is to appear on any kind of mailing list. We have parts of HP where you can print out mailing labels, for instance, and if you were to say no here, it would exclude them from that. We talked about taxable status, tax zone. By default, if you set up just one tax zone, this would be your primary tax zone, the tax zone of your company. If you're using destination-based sales tax, which we talked a little bit about in day 1, this would be the local sales tax code or zone for the customer. We talked about pricing levels. Terms. We have many different terms types that are available to be chosen. You can select and assign a customer to terms. This is very important to get set up correctly because this drives accounts receivable past due balances and also statements. This will drive that information. When you create and save an invoice, it uses the terms in order to understand when the invoice is due and when it may become past due. It's very important to get this set up correctly. You can assign a credit limit and credit hold for a customer. The function of these are to stop a sales order from being invoiced. If a customer has exceeded their credit limit, then you will not be able to turn a sales order into an invoice. It will allow you to go ahead and create the sales order, but it will not allow you to invoice it. HP also has a finance charge system. I just want to make you aware of that you can set up and assess finance charges at the time that you create statements. You can indicate whether a customer's address is a commercial delivery address, whether they are allowing back orders. For instance, if you do have the back order system turned on, but a customer says, I never want you to back order anything for me, you can turn that off. You can also indicate whether their UPS account is to be billed and what their UPS shipper number is. This comes into play if you're using our optional integrated shipping system in HP. Let's go ahead and add a customer into the system. First of all, I want to encourage you to always create a sales order for a customer. I want to discourage you from using the cash account or house account, whatever you happen to call it. The reason for that is you're losing your opportunity to market to a customer at a later time. You can't see their sales history. You also never want to put deposits onto your house account or your cash account. You have no idea who that's for. You can't track that information. It's just not good accounting practice to do that. Just takes a few seconds to create a customer account. You can do it right from when you're creating an order, and all you have to provide is a customer name. You don't have to provide any additional information, and I'll demonstrate that to you right now. So to create a new customer, we can do F10 add. But that's all I had to do in order to set up a customer. In just a second, I had a customer set up. Now, when I do a sale, I'm at least tracking it against something. The customer comes in next time, I can start to ask for additional information and fill it in. So even if you're in a rush, you can get a little bit of information set up for the customer. And you may wonder what happens with all of the other information. If we go into account profile, it uses default information. It will set them up on price level A, it will make them taxable, and it will set up their terms as being prepaid. So it uses system defaults in order to get that started. I'm going to go ahead and delete this customer. And I'm going to go in and add them again. Just like with vendors, there's a zip code lookup database. I can provide the zip code, and it will look up the city-state for me. Once again, if you've indicated a country code of the US or Canada, it will format the phone number for you. It brings in system defaults for the price levels and for the taxable status. It brings in a system default for terms. You can set these defaults on system setup. We'll take a look at that tomorrow. Once you have the information that you need to have set up entered, you can press escape, and then it will go through a validation process. So the first thing that it does, if you have address verification turned on in the system, which we'll touch on that tomorrow in system setup, it'll go out to UPS and it will validate the address for you. In this case, it has picked up the +4 for the zip code for me. It will also clean up the address for you. So if you enter road, for instance, it will abbreviate it to RD. North, it will change it to N. And it will also go out and validate whether it's a residential or commercial address, which is very powerful for if you're using either the rating system in HP to rate shipments against UPS or FedEx, or using the integrated shipping system. In this case, I'm going to select this updated address. The other thing I have turned on is the duplicate checking for addresses. This is a great feature to help keep you out of trouble. And it will check for duplicates based upon several different criteria. One is phone number, another is email address, and then it will also validate against the address that you've indicated. Another really good reason to use the UPS integration in order to validate that address and keep it cleaned up. It will now show us duplicate addresses. So it saw that there was address set up for HP support, and it found a duplicate based upon phone number in this case. It asked me if I want to go ahead and continue to save the customer. For the sake of illustration for this training, I'm going to go ahead and say yes, and it returns us to our customer management screen. Before we move on to working with creating orders, I want to talk a moment about accounts receivable. We've touched a little bit on accounts receivable today, and this is really the only time we're going to talk about that. And it's just really a fundamental part of HP that you need to be aware of, is that HP does an amazing job of managing accounts receivable for you and has very powerful tools for dealing with customer accounts where you let them run a balance, where they're on terms, where you can go in and apply payments. With just a few clicks, you can see what their accounts receivable balance is. You can print out accounts receivable and deposit reporting, and then you can go into account history for a customer and see what their balance is at any point in time, look up past invoices and payments and reprint those as needed. Very robust accounts receivable system is available in HP.